Good evening and welcome to our live National Organize to Win call. I'm Amanda Nichols with Our Revolution, and tonight we're organizing to build progressive momentum with U.S. Rep. Ayanna Pressley and down ballot candidates as we gear up for the midterms. If you're in Zoom, you can kick things off by telling us your name and where you're from in the chat. Also in the chat, you'll see the links to share this live stream out to your Facebook and your Twitter, so you can help us build this call, get everybody tuning in. First, let's see who we've got on the chat right now. Already, I see Lucero Mesa of Our Revolution, South Carolina. Thank you, Lucero, for joining us. We have Kat in Akron, Ohio, Bruce J, who's a sustaining member. Thank you very much, Bruce. We've got Jenna Beck from Our Revolution, Southern California, and Tim Collingswood is coming in from Lakewood, Ohio. The chat is starting to roll. So first up, for the folks who are calling in on the phones or watching live on social media, please transfer to the Zoom room with all of these lovely folks with us so you can have a more interactive experience. We're dropping the link right now to join our Zoom and our social media streams. So definitely click on that, come join us in the Zoom. And if you're on the phones, you can just type in ourrev.us/Zoom. Again, my name is Amanda, and you're tuning into our live broadcast to build progressive power. Tonight, we have U.S. Rep. Ayanna Pressley, and she's going to be talking to us about next steps for the progressive movement, how we can build on recent gains and wins to, cut student debt. How do we get rid of all student debt? So we'll be talking to her about how we move forward there. And we'll also be speaking with Corey Jones. He's a former Bernie delegate, a former director of BLM Rhode Island, and now he's running for a seat on Providence City Council in Ward 3. Then from California, we have two mayoral candidates. We have Joe Ayala for Simi Valley Mayor and Sheng Tao for Mayor of Oakland. And then finally, we'll hear from Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich on his recent win against a healthcare CEO in Maryland. So the chat is very active. Keep telling us who you are, why you're tuning in. We've got Marion Douglas from Washington, D.C., Tom Lucci. He's originally from Vermont. Now he's in Berkeley, California. We've got Luke Jones from Silver Spring, Maryland, Barbara Armstrong from Burleson, Texas. Ton of folks. Glad to see you all. We really love to build up these calls. So get all your friends to tune in every other week with us, every other Monday. One way to make a huge impact, no matter where you're tuning in from, is by signing up for a shift with Our Revolution's phone bank force. Click the link we're putting in the chat right now. Help us mobilize folks into action around our policy issues and to vote for progressives up and down the ballot. We've made more than 700,000 calls this primary season, and we have a lot more to make for candidates like John Fetterman in Pennsylvania, David Segal in Rhode Island's 2nd District for Congress, Megan Green, who's running for president of the Board of Aldermen in St. Louis, many others. So that link's in the chat. Super easy. We need all hands on deck. We also hope you'll take a moment right now while the call is still building to become a member. Let's maximize our impact. Go to ourrev.us/2022 member. If you're on the phones, press *3 and an operator will help you sign up. We've got more than 3,000 people on the phones right now, but before we get started, please hop over to Zoom so you can participate directly in tonight's organizing. That's ourrev.us/Zoom. And finally, real quick, the Revolution Report is out. We'll drop that link. I write that every week, so I hope you guys read it, enjoy it, share it around. And with that, let me bring in one of our hosts for this evening, Our Revolution Field Director, Mike Olis, to get this call started. Mike, what's up?
Hey, Amanda, how's it going tonight? Thank you so much for that awesome kickoff. Welcome, everybody. It's Monday night. It is our National Organize to Win call. And tonight we are celebrating 6 years of organizing at Our Revolution. We just turned 6 years old as a movement, and we're just getting going. And tonight we had the perfect call for our 6-year anniversary. We're going to be celebrating some tough won victories, even the victory that was won by 30 votes. And we're going to talk about some tough wins that we're going to earn this November when it comes to Election Day on November 8th. But first, a very exciting announcement, breaking news. Just a few hours ago, the California Senate passed AB 257. Now, if you go back to a couple of our calls we've done recently, AB 257 is a transformative worker justice bill, maybe the most transformative piece of worker justice legislation in quite some time that's been passed. 500,000 fast food workers are going to have the right to negotiate as one body with the franchises and the fast food owners in California. Imagine that, 500,000 workers all together negotiating as one team. Again, probably something that has not been, a bill like this has not been passed in a long time. So congratulations to SEIU, to the fast food workers of California, to Representative Ro Khanna, who helped us organize this. And I want to give a shout out to Tim Cotran, who's our member in Our Revolution, Orange County. There was a state senator, Dave Min, who wasn't going to sign on to this bill. And the team in Orange County made a bunch of phone calls, put a little bit of pressure on the senator, and he voted yes tonight. So great work, everybody. Congratulations to the workers of California. And as we go forward, we want to keep on winning. It feels good to win. It feels good to make transformative change. And in 2022, we want to finish strong. You know, we're about done through primary season, not quite there, but we got to beat Republicans in November, and we got to make sure every progressive ally, every progressive Democrat we can, let's help them win down ballot. And tonight, just a few minutes, we'll hear from Ayanna Pressley, the representative from Massachusetts. We'll hear from Corey Jones, who still has a primary coming up also. He is running for Providence City Council in Rhode Island. We're going to then go out to California, hear from two great candidates for mayor who will be on the ballot in November, Joe Ayala in Simi Valley, which is just north of Los Angeles, and then Sheng Tao, who in Oakland, who is the progressive and the front runner to win that race. So cannot wait to go out to California. And tonight, we'll close things up from hearing from landslide Mark Elrich, who 4 years ago was an Our Revolution member, ran for county executive in the biggest county in Maryland, and took on the establishment and won by 80 votes out of tens of thousands of votes cast. This time around, he was up against a bazillionaire, the same bazillionaire, and he won by 30 votes. Hard-fought campaign. So Mark Elrich will be joining us here in just a second to end tonight's call. So I'm gonna let's get this call going. If you are on Zoom, if you're on the phone or on social media, join us in the Zoom room. We have thousands of people on our Teletown Hall conference, thousands of people on social media. Join us in the Zoom room tonight. It's a little bit more fun in here. We can be a little bit more interactive. So join us at ourrev.us/Zoom. So www.ourrev.us/Zoom. And with that, let's go to our executive director, Joseph Gevargis. Take it away tonight. And Joseph, you might be on mute.
Thank you, Brother Olis. Sorry about that. Hey, brothers and sisters, it is wonderful to be here again. My name is Joseph Gevargis. I'm the executive director of Our Revolution. As Mike said, Bernie started Our Revolution 6 years ago to be the vanguard of the progressive movement. And on this anniversary, I want to remind all of you, my brothers and sisters, about what we've been doing, the hard work of organizing that we've been doing to get Democrats to deliver for the working class, not the corporate interests. Even though, and look, it's been a tough year, let's make no bones about it. Even though we did not win the transformative legislation called Build Back Better, our organizing did result in Joe Biden making a dent in student debt. It did result in Medicare being poised to negotiate big farm prices. It did result in significant investments in renewable energy. And brothers and sisters, what I want to say is this. We all know that we have more work to do, but these are critical foundational items that will help us transform our country as we continue to organize. And look, we didn't just win on the policy front. We didn't just make progress on the policy front. We also made progress on the electoral front. During this hard-fought primary season, we have added almost 9 new progressive champions to the United States House of Representatives. We started out with a squad. Now we've got a whole team that is committed to holding the line, standing with us, and fighting on the inside as we organize on the outside. That being said, even though we've won, we're not done. And so this next period is going to be critical for us. Primary season is ending, and we're about to gear up for the general election. And here's what we've got to do to keep our eyes on the prize. There's 4 things. 1, we've got to defeat the far right, and we've got to win seats in the United States Senate. We have a chance to dilute the influence of Joe Manchin, dilute the influence of Kyrsten Sinema by electing John Fetterman to the United States Senate, by electing Mandela Barnes to the United States Senate, by keeping Raphael Warnock in the United States Senate. In this next period, our revolution members are going to be throwing down to make sure that we win these critical Senate races, and we win them big. Mike is going to tell us a little bit about how you can get involved in a moment. The second thing that we've got to do is we can't just focus on the federal. We also got to remember that change happens from the bottom up, and we've got to make sure that we commit ourselves to doing everything possible, electing progressives down ballot. We've got a shot in places like St. Louis, Oakland, to elect, in Providence, to elect entire progressive slates and remake government. That is critical, especially as those people on the far right are doing everything in their power to take over school boards and city councils and other down ballot races. And the other thing I want to say, the third thing that we've got to do in this moment, in addition to working electorally, is we've also got to keep pushing on policy. We've got to make sure that the bill, the fast food legislation that passed the Senate in California, is signed into law by Gavin Newsom. That bill will be transformative for hundreds of thousands of fast food workers in California, and it can be a template for what can happen across the country. We also have to focus on eliminating Joe Manchin's dirty deal. Here's the thing. Joe Manchin cut a side deal that would reward his fossil fuel cronies with more pipelines. So on the one hand, you got establishment Democrats touting the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, as a bold step forward in addressing the climate crisis. But the problem is, if Joe Manchin's side deal goes through, it would eliminate that progress. We cannot allow it. And so we at our revolution in this next period are going to focus on making sure that Joe Manchin does not get away with destroying our environment. And last but not least, and maybe this is the least sexy, but we've got to keep focusing on transforming the Democratic Party. If we learned anything from this election cycle, is this: the Democratic Party is no friend of Democrats. They allowed millions and millions of dark money to flow into races to defeat progressives. This is unacceptable, and our revolution members are drawing a line in the sand. We're organizing to pass a resolution that would make sure that the Democratic Party doesn't align itself with dark money corporate interests. Brothers and sisters, this is what we are called to do. We've got to focus on these 4 things: winning the Senate, electing down ballot progressives, beating the far right, fighting on policies, and transforming the Democratic Party. If we do these four things, we have established a foundation so that we can continue to work on the things that we want to do. Because at the end of the day, we've got to do this if we want to make sure that we erase every single dollar of student debt. We've got to do this if we want to make sure we address the root causes of the climate crisis. Brothers and sisters, we continue to march. And with that, I want to bring up one of our strongest allies in our fight to transform American politics, and that is Representative Ayanna Pressley. Representative Pressley was one of the few Democrats who held the line during Build Back Better to make sure that our progressive priorities didn't get buried. She understands that it takes inside and outside organizing to create transformative change. And with that, I want to welcome Representative Pressley to our Monday night organizing call. Sister, tell us a little bit about what you think are the most important things for the progressive movement to do in this next period.
Well, Joe, first and foremost, I just want to say I love how you're greeting everyone as brothers and sisters. It's a reminder that the progressive movement is one where we recognize that we are one human family, that our freedoms and our destinies are tied. And it's exactly why our revolution is so important, because we need a movement that is intentional, that is inclusive, that is multiracial, that is multi-generational. And that is certainly what we have in our revolution. And emphasizing the possessive of our. I was revisiting my very first election night to Congress, that primary victory in 2018, and was caught finding out in real time. Someone was recording. I found out in real time that we had won, and that's what I said. I said, we won. And many people were struck by that I didn't say I won. But I think that's the mark of a true progressive. Again, we recognize that we're a part of a broader movement, and it's only movements that have been able to bring about systemic, transformative, sustainable change. And so I'm very proud to be a part of this one. So happy birthday to OR, which is very timely. Just yesterday, we marked the 59th anniversary of Dr. King's March on Washington, a march for jobs and freedom, for economic justice. And we are still very much in that march. And so I thank you for your solidarity. I thank you for your leadership. We thank Bernie for his visionary leadership and founding this effort. And I thank you for your support of my reelection this fall. Again, it's good to be with you on this 6th anniversary. And not only is it apropos, given the 59th anniversary of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, for economic justice, which is very much a part of our revolution, the progressive movement fight. But also we get to take stock of some victories. And one of them is student debt relief. I will not say forgiveness, because anyone that's taken on debt has done nothing wrong. And there is no shame in having this debt, because the cost of higher education has increased by 150%. There is no shame in being burdened by this debt. The only shame is that we have not acted earlier with boldness and urgency to alleviate this hardship and this burden that is a nearly $2 trillion crisis. And so I do think to fortify ourselves for the work ahead, it's important to take stock of our victories, as you were doing earlier on this call, and certainly seeing some student debt real meaningful relief, and for some, their debt will be zeroed out completely. That was only made possible because of our revolution being on the forefront in this fight for bold progressive change. And that's everything from fighting for Medicare for all, to student debt, to electing progressives across the country. Now, on student debt specifically, I know there's some naysayers that think that we just post messages on social media all day. Our movement leveraged every tool available for this progress to be made. If you look at what took place in the last 2 years, Student debt was an issue that people really sought to marginalize, to treat as if it was a fringe issue. And many offered that student debt cancellation would be regressive in impact. But because of the strength of this movement, because of people who shared their stories, and those stories which we carried in our heart, and to every table and every negotiation, to every mobilization effort, and because we were disciplined and vigilant, today we see that help is on the way. So I thank everyone who organized, who advocated in partnership with people across America, and those who have been burdened, borrowers, again, who told their stories. I look forward to a day where people don't have to relive their trauma in order to compel action from our government. But we are grateful for those that did share their stories, because it made the difference. And in this past week, President Biden heeded the calls, was responsive not only to the diverse coalition and movement of voters which made this Democratic majority possible, which delivered him to the White House, but most importantly, responsive to the hurt and harm that people are feeling every day because of this debt. And President Biden's action is one that is historic. It's going to change millions of people's lives for the better across the nation. This will allow people to make ends meet, to purchase homes, to grow their families, to start businesses, to build generational wealth. We know that student debt is an economic justice issue. It is a racial justice issue. It is a gender justice issue. And so now that progress has been made, I urge the administration to implement this relief as swiftly as possible. And I've spoken to the White House at length about that. And this is a victory for so many families, and we wouldn't be here were it not for the broad and grassroots coalition organizing for years to move this issue to the forefront of our political discourse. So again, the administration, the Biden administration, was responsive to that movement. And now we have life-changing, long overdue relief on the way. And of course, our work is not done to get to the root causes of the unaffordability of higher education. We need to continue to fight for us to make an investment in higher education as the public good that it is, a federal investment in higher education, the public good that it is. We need a tuition-free community college. We need to invest in more Pell Grants, and we need to continue to bang the drum and the need to invest in our historically Black colleges and universities, which have been chronically and woefully underfunded for too long. And so our work continues to get at the root causes of inequity, disparity, and racial injustice. And these injustices for generations have been legislated, which is why we look to the power of the pen. We look to the power of the pen in order to legislate system change, not just programmatic change. To be radical in our work, in the definition of Angela Y. Davis, to get at the root of things. I believe if we can legislate hurt and harm, we can legislate equity, we can legislate healing, we can legislate justice. So in student debt, we use the power of the pen to legislate and offer bills and resolutions and letters describing exactly how to get this done. We've used the power of convening to make our case directly to the White House, to congressional leadership, our caucus colleagues, and local government. And we've used the power of the movement, building to grow this movement into a coalition of borrowers, of grassroots organizers, of civil rights organizations, union families, our educators, and more. And we use the power of our advocacy to shape the narrative and shine a light on who would really benefit from student debt cancellation. Black and brown folks, women, students, workers, the elderly, parents, teachers, young people, and more. This is what governing is supposed to look like. This is what movement building is supposed to look like. This is how we disrupt and agitate to actualize on our progressive vision and values for this country. We do it by working with and centering those closest to the pain, centering their ideas in our policymaking, and leveraging every tool available to enact meaningful policy. That's how we got here today. That is how we will make real our other shared goals in the space of racial, climate, and economic justice. And so now we'll take that power, all of that, to work until it is done. It is always impossible until it is done. In 2018, I ran on the mandate that change can't wait. It still can't. But I know that we will bring about that change, because the other power that I believe in is the power of us. So thank you to my brothers and sisters in the movement. Thank you for being co-conspirators. Thank you for being table shakers, disruptors, agitators, defenders of democracy, and movement builders, most of all.
Representative Presley, thank you for joining us. We're proud to endorse you once again for Congress. You are an exemplar of the type of progressive champion that we want to elect. It's not somebody who just talks the talk, but somebody who walks the walk and partners with outside organizations on policy issues that we can win concrete victories, such as college debt. It's a long journey, and sister, we are glad that you are traveling with us. Again, thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Oles.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
I said, I know my head was cut off a little bit, but I thought the shirt was more important. All right.
Right on.
Let's not forget about that repro fight. All right. Take care, fam.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you, Joseph. Look, that's why we got to keep on organizing and fighting. It's been a summer that will go down in history for some pretty bad reasons. So let's make sure that we organize our movement to finish strong here in 2022 and take on the Supreme Court. So now let's go to Providence, Rhode Island, just 50 miles down the road from Representative Presley. Hey, Corey Jones, how's it going tonight in Providence? What's the campaign trail looking like?
Good. I spent today doing the candidate form, and I'm happy to be here.
And Corey, tell us a little bit about yourself and what's at stake in Providence right now. You are a former Bernie delegate, so it's always awesome when we send Bernie delegates to elected office. So this is going to be an important win for the movement here in a couple of weeks. And you're also the former director of the Black Lives Matter Rhode Island BAC.
Yeah, so everything is on the line this year in Providence. Right now, we have a potential mayor candidate who's trying to buy this election, and really is going to be left on the hands of the city council. We already know that the city council is the legislating body, so we already have a large responsibility. But if this guy wins, then the city council is going to be the last line of defense. And I'm happy to say that we're coming into this race with a strong coalition. We have, if all of our folks win, we have a potential veto-proof majority, and we're all running on a city-level Green New Deal to join our partners in Boston and 100 other cities to put in place a city-level Green New Deal. Being a city that's a majority minority community that's also on the coast, the climate crisis is going to affect us tremendously. We're going to be one of the first people that are going to be affected by the climate crisis, mostly marginalized communities. So, we're fighting to kick the polluters out of the port. We're fighting to expand affordable housing as rents are rising ridiculously. We're fighting to end gentrification in our historically Black neighborhood. And we're fighting to make sure that our public schools aren't ranked one of the lowest in the country. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to bring my activism into the political arena and bring the voices of my community into the city, into the halls of City Hall.
Corey, tell us about so Rhode Island has its primary in September. So we're just about 15 days out from that Tuesday, September 13th, I think. What's it like right now on the doors, talking to voters? What are your future constituents saying, and what's the vibe on the doors?
Yeah, so I'm in a very diverse ward. I'm in one of the most diverse wards as far as, demographically in the entire city. In Mount Hope, where I live, which is a historically Black community, folks are upset about gun violence. They want to be able to take their kids to the park safely and not have to worry about being shot. And we all know that our archaic public safety system is not working for anyone. And all it is a system of catch and release and punitive punishment. When I go into Summit neighborhood, which is, an area that's composed of nonprofit professionals and teachers that got into the market before the housing prices quadrupled. What folks are telling me they're worried about is the education system. Folks are struggling to pay to send their kids into charters and private schools, and they really don't want to. They want to send their kids into the public school system, but we have one of the worst public school systems in the entire country. And lastly, people are upset about affordable housing. When we had a day called Billy Taylor Day at the park, that's most notably known in our community as Billy Taylor Park. And a ton of people were telling me that, I lived in the ward, but I got gentrified out 2 years ago. 4 years ago, we had to sell our home because the property taxes were too much for us to live here. So, folks in my community are really upset that, they can't afford to live in the community that they lived in for years. And I live in, one of the biggest high rise in our entire community, which is one of the only communities that still is occupied by Black and brown residents. And, folks here are telling me that they're on the brink of leaving because rent has increased tremendously. In the last year, our rent has increased by $200. So, folks are really on the edge in this election because right now everything is at stake. And the way that, the economy has been, the price gouging and these corporate landlords and luxury developers, they have been squeezing our residents for every penny, and we have to fight back. And we have to expand development, but we also have to put in rent stabilization or rent control to make sure that those prices aren't increasing egregiously on residents that have lived here their whole life.
Awesome. This is Corey Jones running for Providence City Council, Ward 3. Corey, talk to us about your experience in the Bernie world and with Black Lives Matter organizing as you, and then making that transition to running for office.
Yeah, so in 2016, Bernie motivated me to get involved in politics. I cared about politics, and I knew that, the people that are running this system were the ones to blame for a lot of heartache that my family faced. And so Bernie showed me that you can run and you can be focused on the issues and the results that the solutions that you bring to the table would deliver. And so I was excited to be a national delegate in 2016 for Bernie. And, but what it really did was it showed me the type of corruption inside of the Democratic Party. I went to that national convention, with a bit naive. I didn't understand how the system worked. And I saw the noise removal machines that they put up to silence us. I saw how they would take our signs out of our hands and, put other signs. I saw how the media would walk down the aisle and they wouldn't look at me while I was holding a sign that said, "I'm a super predator," as Hillary Clinton was speaking. And so that motivated me to take things to another level. So during the BLM movement, a bunch of protesters looked at me and said, "Corey, you've been here before. You have this political experience. How do we turn our activism into systemic change?" And so I said, maybe we should start a state PAC. Maybe we should put together our resources and we should help candidates that are fighting for these same issues get into office. And so that's what we did. We were very successful and we got a lot of attention. And we endorsed 9 candidates, 7 of them won. And some of those same candidates like Senator Tiara Mack are supporting me now and creating a pathway for me to also have political representation in this political system. So, Bernie inspired me, and the Black Lives Matter movement lit a flame under me that helped me propel into this position to run for this seat. And, my successor of the PAC, he's also running for state senate. The Rhode Island Political Co-op has done amazing work. I'm not a co-op member, but, kudos to the work that they've done, running over 30 candidates at state, Senate and local city council and House representative seats. They changed the entire makeup of the General Assembly in Rhode Island. And this year, we're coming for the entire government. We're coming to take the entire city council. We're coming to take the entire General Assembly, and we're going to do it. And if it's not this election, it'll be the next, So we're building power in Rhode Island, and I hope you guys join us.
Thank you so much. That is Corey Jones in Providence, and we are going to be phone banking and working hard for Corey over the next couple of weeks. And also, we have other endorsements in Rhode Island tonight. Tonight, we are endorsing Representative Ayanna Pressley. Corey Jones has our endorsement, and also making endorsements of several other candidates in Rhode Island tonight, and also Dave Siegel, who's also already has our endorsement in Rhode Island. So an important couple of weeks coming up in Rhode Island. And let's go from the smallest geographic state to one of the largest ones. Let's go out to California. Let's go out to, tonight we're here from two candidates who are running for mayor in California, one in Southern California and one up in the Bay. So Joe Ayala, how's it going tonight in Simi Valley?
It's going great. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me, Mike. I really appreciate this opportunity. I was endorsed by Our Revolution in 2020, and I am just thrilled to be here among so many great and amazing activists.
And Joe, you just won an election just a couple weeks ago, right? You now are the president of your CWA local. Is that right?
That's right. I was the vice president of my local for about 12 years, and 2 weeks ago I was elected to the office of president of my local. We represent about 1,500 members in Los Angeles. We're broadcast industry professionals, so most of us are technicians, camera people, editors, sound mixers, that kind of stuff.
And Joe, once you win the election, we're going to have you come back as sort of the production team for Our Revolution to help us with our camera work and our production tonight. But Joe, so Simi Valley is just north of Los Angeles and a little bit, I guess, to the what direction is that? To the west, and it's a community that is divided: 40% Democrat, 40% Republican, 20% nonpartisan. Right. So this is an election that you've ran once, got close. Tell us about what's at stake in Simi Valley.
Well, just to touch on the first part, I did run in 2020. We did get over 30% of the vote in Simi. The first time a Democrat's ever gotten that kind of voting percentages. Our path to victory really is part of it's due to the Our Revolution, the help that I'm getting from Our Revolution, and the fact that I've built a much broader community base than I ran in the first election. We were in 2020. It was the height of COVID. It was very difficult to reach individuals. It was to speak in person was almost impossible. Almost everything was done by how we're doing it now, really, on Zoom. And it's great for national calls, but when you want to have that, and I really kind of, I think I excel at person-to-person contact much better than I do on a digital platform. So I was I have been doing that since pretty much since the end of the election cycle last year. We started reaching out to local businesses. We hadn't done that before and gotten a lot of buy-in. A lot of these things are really, because it's a municipal election, nonpartisan. So while I am definitely a Democrat, while I am definitely a progressive, when for the public, it has to be seen as, you have to frame the conversation with who you're speaking to. My progressive friends know exactly what I am. When I'm speaking to a Republican, I've got to speak about the economy. I've got to speak about, by the way, nowadays, I've gotten the most amazing news is the Republicans are now really upset about housing and affordable housing. They're not able to get enough. So apparently that crosses party lines nowadays. So again, moving forward, I think what we've done in the past and as far as building a much broader community outreach and having the support of Our Revolution that I didn't have in 2020. I mean, your endorsement, yes, but we didn't start working together until this year, is going to be a big step forward into the right direction. I have an amazing new team of young progressives, a very diverse team of all walks of life. And we're reaching out to everybody this year.
And Joe, Simi Valley, this is a community of 130,000 people, so a large community, large city. In most states, it would be like a top 5 or 6 city, right? In terms of its population, so a big city for a lot of the country, a little bit small for many parts of California. But like you said, this is sort of a last bastion of Republican power in the area, but also very winnable. And this is also a city that's sort of known for its police force, the good, the bad, and ugly of that. And you're up against the president of the police union. And what's your message? How are we going to take on your opponent, but also build a winning coalition? And what are the issues that people are talking about?
He's not the president of the union. He's the president of the Police Officers Foundation, which is adjacent to the union.
Sorry. Yep, my bad.
He's not a police. But I actually met him a couple of days ago at an event in Simi Valley. So our path forward is, as I said before, we're not just going to focus. I am counting on the Democratic vote in Simi Valley. I'm the former president of the Simi Valley Dem Club. I wear a lot of hats. That's probably why I don't have much hair left. But I do wear. I have been the past president. I was endorsed by them. I was endorsed by the Ventura County Central Committee, another strong Democratic group. I do have the endorsement of Julia Brownley and Congresswoman Julia Brownley and Senator Henry Stern, along with State Treasurer Fiona Ma. Like I said, my path forward is reaching across party lines, trying to frame the conversation to Republicans and to independents to understand that a municipal election isn't about one side or the other. It's about making the city better.
Absolutely. And, like a lot of communities in California, there is a housing and affordability crisis. There is an deep environmental concern. Of Ventura County is under assault from Chevron and big interest. And so, and so Joe, just want to conclude tonight with, like you're one of our true and blue members, right? You're a CWA member. You've been with our revolution from the beginning. You're active in local politics, and on our 6-year anniversary, we have a chance to win a tough but very winnable race in California, and do some great work. So please get involved with Joe's campaign. And Joe, any last words for us tonight as we gear up for the final stretch here? And think about it. Election day in California really isn't November 8th. It really starts October 7th or 8th when the ballots in the mail drop. So we're looking at 6 weeks of hard campaigning before those first ballots drop in the mail.
Thank you, Mike. Well, I guess I'll end the meeting the way I started it. I'm so awed and so blessed to be among such a great group of amazing activists and candidates for office. By the way, I've heard a few of you speak already, and I'm very, very impressed. From a former candidate myself, I can say you guys are going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to progressive change all over the place, and as many of us as we can get elected to office, it's the most important thing in the world. If you can, anyone who's on this call, please volunteer to my campaign at joeayala.org. That's my website. You can message me there, or you can donate there. You can sign up to volunteer. We need all hands on deck to win this election. It is winnable, but it's going to take work. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. And Joe, we'll be in touch because we'll be working hard on supporting your campaign. And let's go up halfway up the state. Let's get to Oakland, California, the Bay Area, or is our revolution East Bay, as we call it in our revolution world. We are now joined by Sheng Tao, who is not only the progressive running for mayor in Oakland, there's a couple other progressives, but she is the progressive and the front runner in Oakland. So in Simi Valley, we're going to win a tough election. And in Oakland, we are going to make sure that we stay the front runner and deliver a progressive government to Oakland. So how's it going, Sheng, tonight? How's Oakland?
Absolutely. I second everything that you said. It is beautiful tonight here in the city of Oakland. We have such a diverse community here, but it's the key about that. It's making sure that we continue to keep it diverse, especially with, as you know, Mike, I mean, everywhere in the nation, but here specifically in the East Bay, in the Bay Area, rent is so damn high. I always joke around, but it's not a joke. I am the poorest council member representing the richest council district in the city. And if I were to be evicted, I would not be able to represent my district anymore.
So you've been on the city council, and so as you transition, hopefully over the next couple of weeks and a couple of months into the mayor's role, what have you seen as Oakland City Council member that needs to be changed at the mayoral level? What kind of change does your victory going to represent for people as we get closer to election day?
Absolutely. I unapologetically, I represent working class families, period. I am a working class family to this very day. I'm a daughter of refugees. We grew up really poor and lived in public housing. So understanding, it's all about, when I talk about representation, I'm also talking about live life representation, right? And so right now, the city of Oakland is in a state of crisis, from poverty to homelessness to violent crime to raising bay waters and growing wildfire risk that's escalated by climate change. And I do feel that the current mayor has not taken these on in a way where we put people who are on the margins, right? Families who are on the margins, who are just thinking about how they're going to eat every day and every night, how we're not putting them first. We all know, and we all talk about this, is that when you lift from the bottom, you lift everybody up. And so we got to get back to the basics. And so this campaign would mean that we would get back to the basics of hyper focusing on those families who are most marginalized. And not just that, but really get to the root causes of why we have crimes and violent crimes, right? So we were talking about gun violence prevention, also interrupters. And I'm really proud that I was a early champion of our mental health response team, which we call MACRO here in the city of Oakland.
Great. And tell us about the coalition you've built. I'm pretty impressed. The coalition that's come together to support your run includes a lot of different parts of the community. You've unified the labor movement behind you. Talk to us about the coalition that is behind you, and our revolution is right there too. We have I think 25,000 people in Oakland who consider themselves our revolution aligned. So we want to put those people to work. But tell us about your coalition.
Absolutely. It's we talked a lot earlier, and I heard folks talk about the inside outside game, and that's exactly it. We are building power, and not just building power, but learning how to work in partnership and leadership together. And it is a process, but it is a process that is much needed as we are moving this progressive power forward. And so on the city council, we were able to elect, along with partnership with labor unions, a block with our progressive council members. We have 8 council members. So 4 council members, we are the progressive block. We call ourselves the local squad. And things can't get past us, and we do need extra vote in order to pass anything. But again, that is a local block that we currently have that the city of Oakland has never seen before. And so we're seeing that real change is actually working, and then we're going to continue in that way. Also, we also understand, working with labor unions and community organization, it's that, not one person can be your perfect, 100% perfect candidate, but it's about progress, it's about being strategic, and it's about accountability. And so I have all of labor union solely endorsed my campaign, even with ranked choice voting here in the city of Oakland, including California Nurses Association, our firefighters, and many, many more. But ultimately, it's a people power campaign, right? And we know that. We know that the institution in itself, it's powerful, it has a lot of money, and that's what's coming after us. We are grateful that we are the front runner because we out-organize the opposition this time around. However, it's about getting to the doors and knocking on those doors, reaching out and talking to our neighbors and getting them to understand, because when they hear our values at the door or on the phone, they agree with us. They agree with our progressive movement. And not just that, but they need and are starving for change. And we are the change that is needed to ensure that, we're building an Oakland, not just for those who have or those who are well connected, but that we're building an Oakland to keep those who have been here for generations, especially our Black, our brown, our low income families, that they're able to live here anywhere that they want, whether it's above or below the freeway or what have you, that they're able to also afford to live here, play here, and work here.
Thank you, Shane. And to wrap up, Oakland is like a progressive capital, right? Arts, culture, the progressive movement is really one of our headquarters of the movement. And that's what's at risk right now, because we've created these communities that now are under attack because of affordability and the environment. And so we got to win in November, but also we want to send I see Brandon Harami saying Oak Squad. We want to send Shane to the mayor's role, and then keep that Oak Squad strong, so you have the city council right behind you as you fight for Oakland.
That's absolutely right. Again, we're going to need to make sure that we win the council seats in the city of Oakland and also the mayor's seat. We do have a hybrid strong mayor here. And so that means that a lot of things can get done if we could get a progressive council member and finally get a progressive city council as well. I'm seeing so much great things that can be done for the working class families, and I'm excited for that. I'm just so honored to have, been a strong supporter of Bernie Sanders when he ran for president, and not just that, but do have the endorsements of Jane Kim, the former San Francisco supervisor in California, Bernie Sanders political director, Assemblymembers Ash Kara, Alex Lee, and also Congressman Ro Khanna, as well as Michael Lighty, who is an actual constituent of mine as well too. So there's a lot of people power behind the campaign, and we can't let up, and we can't take anything for granted. This is our time in this moment, and I want to be very clear that we're fighting tooth and nail. So I hope you join us in this fight.
Absolutely, and we're behind you 100%. We're also announcing the endorsement of Sheng Tao for mayor tonight. So add us to your list of endorsements, and then we're going to bring the Oak Squad on later, and we're going to just make sure we get Oakland and our revolution completely organizing together. So thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we'll be in touch, and let's keep on organizing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike, and everybody. We'll see you soon.
Awesome. We cannot wait for election night in Oakland when we have a big victory party with the Oak Squad and with Sheng. So want now to wrap up tonight's call with one more special guest. We're going to be joined by Mark Elrich. Mark is just re-elected, soon to be re-elected county executive of Montgomery County, Maryland. If you know the DC Metro at all, Montgomery County is the mega county to the north of DC. It's where my in-laws live, and a lot of friends and family live. And it's a county that is over 1 million people, like 1.2 million people. The county executive in Maryland is a very powerful spot where you can make change. And Mark Elrich in 2018 won an election to become the county executive by 80 votes in 2018. And it was a huge victory. I remember my in-laws talking about how awesome it was that they're going to have a county executive who was going to focus on smart development and keeping families there and affordability and somebody to lead at the level. But the billionaires kept attacking, and the developers kept attacking, and Mark Elrich won election. But it was even closer this time. 35 votes? 32 votes. 32 votes. Yes, 32 votes. So Mark Elrich, how's it going tonight in Montgomery County?
A lot better than it was a couple weeks ago. I won by 32. We had a recount. It moved 3 votes total. So that recount worked out fine. I ran against the same guy I ran against 4 years ago. We think between this year and the election 4 years ago, him and the developers probably spent north of $20 million, somewhere between 20 and 25 to keep me out of office, which is rather an amazing amount of money. No one has spent that kind of money in these kind of races before. But I know who I am. I think they understand who I am, and that's probably has something to do with it. But I was really grateful for the voters. OR, they came through. They helped with the door knocking and the phones and stuff, and their ability was just really, their ability to help was really important.
Absolutely. And Mark, just for people at home know, so if you think about Maryland, so the cities of Bethesda, Silver Spring, Rockville, these really Gaithersburg, right? Tacoma Park. These are all cities in your county that a lot of people might know about. And on election day, I was like, we were all a little bit worried. No offense.
Me too.
We were a little worried. Your opponent got on a private jet and flew to Montana to the Yellowstone Club, which is where the billionaires hang out. And you stayed strong. We watched the vote count come in, and it was just an awesome month to see us hold on that closely against everything you went through to win this race.
Yeah, it was a bit of a nail biter, but we had people at the election board every day. They did an amazing amount of work to get these votes counted and counted right, and nobody can question the outcome, which is a good thing because we cannot afford to continue to have outcomes of legitimate elections questioned. And I got to say, it was a lot closer than I wanted, but I know that my opponent encouraged Republicans to re-register as Democrats so they could vote in the primary. I drew, we had, I think, the most effective COVID policies in the country. And we probably had the most effective response to the virus. in the country. Our death rate was 2/3 of the national death rate. We were the highest vaccinated large county anywhere. And we were also able to do this equitably. Our two largest populations that were vaccinated were the Asians and the Hispanic community. And when in the beginning of the vaccination cycle, the Hispanic and African Americans were at the bottom by a lot. So we managed to get these communities really heavily vaccinated, and even the African American community achieved parity with the white community. But for our own peculiar distinctions, we were less vaccinated than either the Asian or Latino community, which is subject to some discussion and some thought about why it was, the campaign was less effective there. But we sit at about 95% vaccinated. It's pretty remarkable. And I think it made a big difference for people.
Absolutely. My parents who live in Garrett Park, my in-laws who live in Garrett Park, I was able to see this unfold in real time, and they were able to stay healthy and thank God. And so how serious that Montgomery County took public health and absolutely. So what does the second term look like? Now, what are your goals in the second term, and how can our revolution and our friends and supporters, get behind a successful second term?
So, I mean, there's some things that are going to be different. COVID obviously altered the first term. 2.5 years of this and not being able to do the things you wanted to do, having to pivot people from the normal jobs to the jobs needed them to do during COVID, and limited resources. It's not like COVID didn't have an effect on our budget. So I was stuck with 2 years of what we call same services budgets, where you basically can do last year's budget and can't do anything else. So all the ambitious things we wanted to do, we were not able to do. But this budget, we did some pretty cool stuff. We didn't rely on federal money. We held the federal money in reserve for more COVID problems. So we didn't touch it to balance our budget. We have to have balanced budgets. We exceeded the school spending from last year by like $149 million. We put record funding, and I mean record funding, into affordable housing, both the rapid acquisition fund to help nonprofits buy buildings when they go on the market so we can take them off the market and maintain affordability, and another $100 million focused on helping nonprofits or tenants who've gotten a hold of their buildings fix their buildings up and be able to buy them. We've got the most probably ambitious climate plan in the country. This year, we were able to put the people into the departments to provide the support that businesses and homeowners and apartment owners are going to need in order to make this transition. So it was a budget in which we were able to do a lot of new stuff, and I'm really excited about it. And I believe that this is, kind of portends well. We also had record amounts of development in life sciences and basically high-paying jobs. Jobs that really matter. We're doing a lot of equity work because we need to make sure that the people who benefit from these jobs aren't just the usual people, but that those benefits are spread more broadly across the county. I introduced a rent stabilization bill to hold rents for the next 6 months because we're experiencing what everybody else is experiencing. I couldn't even get the council to bring it up for a vote. So Montgomery County's council I do not have the kind of progressive alliance there that some of my colleagues here have, which makes things a little bit more challenging. But we're going to introduce a comprehensive rent stabilization legislation. I want a bill for no net loss of affordable housing, so that if you redevelop a site, you have to replace the affordable housing that's there today, and your new units come on top of that with plus some increment for future growth. Because if we don't do this, we're going to lose the rest of affordable housing in Montgomery County. So we're going to put an emphasis on not just buying and building, but preserving what we have. We had 45,000 affordable units that weren't restricted. There were no government controls on them in 2000. We've got 22,000 today. And Park and Planning says we'll lose another 11,000 by 2030. I'm going to try to stop the loss. Draw the line on this here and figure out now what we do to provide additional housing units. So there's a lot we're going to do. I'm blessed to be in a county where we have the resources to do things in ways that sometimes other people aren't able to do them. But that also means we have an obligation to do things that other people couldn't otherwise do. And so I'm going to push as progressive an agenda as I can. And OR can play an important role. When we bring stuff up, And we found this, even as hard as it was sometimes to get things through, that when the public spoke up, I had an emergency bill for funding, and it was an emergency. I had a bill for funding, would have increased our spend on affordable housing, and the council was going to cut it. And there was this huge uproar from activists in the community, and we wound up actually being able to save it. So I've seen the power of what people can do when they get active, and we just have to do a more aggressive job of activating people, and that's what we plan on doing.
Well, thank you so much, County Executive Mark Elrich, who just won re-election in a nail-biter, maybe the closest election you'll see this summer, this year, maybe this decade. But sometimes you go up against the bazillionaires, you'll take 30 votes. And as Mark said, last election, 20 million was spent. Not sure what the numbers are this season, but I'm sure I remember seeing your opponent's signs everywhere and blah, blah, blah. But we won, and we are so excited to be part of your second term, and hopefully we can mobilize our support in Montgomery County to make it successful. So thank you again so much, Mark, and we'll be in touch. And this is our 6-year anniversary of Our Revolution. Mark Elrich, you were there with the beginning with Our Revolution Maryland. You're one of our biggest wins early on with Our Rev. And so thank you for your leadership, and can't wait to keep on working with you.
And a supporter of Bernie.
And a supporter of Bernie, absolutely. And one of the largest, most powerful counties in the country. So we can, from Oakland to Maryland, from Providence to Boston, we are organizing like crazy. Thank you, everybody, tonight. Let's just go ahead and wrap up tonight's call to action. If you are not a member of Our Revolution yet, we pride ourselves. We are the largest grassroots funded organization in the country when it comes to progressive politics, right? Bernie taught us the small donor model that we can win with small donations. So please become a small donor member of Our Revolution. $10, $15, $5 a month. That gives us what we need to keep this organization moving and growing. So please become a member of Our Revolution. We're going to be moving forward this year with the goal to get a couple thousand new members by the end of the year. So we'll probably get a phone call from us if you haven't signed up to become a member yet. Then also volunteer-wise, we have a phone bank system that is going every night. Sunday, that sign is outdated now. We're expanding Sunday through Thursday night. We are phone banking. We're phone banking. It is the quickest, easiest way to talk to dozens of voters every night. We are going to be out phone banking like crazy between now and election night. And tonight, we're also announcing a Wednesday night phone bank for John Fetterman in Pennsylvania. We have tens of thousands of members in Pennsylvania. I think over 200,000 phone numbers in our database. Excuse me. We're going to be calling John Fetterman, calling for John Fetterman so we can not only hold on to the Senate as Democrats, but we can also make sure that we can hold it veto-proof from Manchin and Sinema. So we're going to be calling for John Fetterman every Wednesday starting in mid-September. So to wrap it up, what else are we going to talk about? One last thing we want to say is there is a major environmental fight on our hands that we'll be working on. We talked about it at the top of the call. Joe Manchin, the dirty deal, Dirty Joe Manchin. He's going to shut down the government if he doesn't get more pipelines. We spent the last couple of years, living with Joe Manchin's reality, which, has hurt our planet, has hurt our party. And here we are. We got one more last thing we got to do to stop Joe Manchin's, and that is his dirty deal. We're going to be taking him on in this fight. It basically says we're not going to let them build any more fossil fuel projects. We're not going to let them build more pipelines. We got to transition, and we're not going to play. We're not going to play into Joe Manchin's dirty hands. So we're going to be out there fighting for that. I'm saying, hey, I should reorient my camera. Sorry. And let's just call it a night. Then John Fetterman phone bank, we talked about that. So join our phone call coming up here, and John Fetterman, let's get him to Congress, into the U.S. Senate. So let's go ahead and wrap up. And when we wrap up, we shout it out. When we organize, we win. So when we organize,
we win.
When we organize,
we win.
Okay, happy 6-year anniversary, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.